What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to take a look at what's in store for you if you are taking an AP History exam in the year 2020. If you don't know, a AP History modified DBQ rubric is coming for you this year. Everything is completely different, and the big difference is you're going to have 45 minutes for the entire exam. 45 minutes to write. It is going to be a DBQ, and you'll have 5 minutes to upload your answer to the College Board platform. So it's just one question to define your whole year in your AP History class. One piece of good news, the DBQ can cover periods 3 through 7 for AP US History. So pour out a little apple juice for all the homies in periods 1, 2, 8, and 9. They will not be a part of the DBQ this year. An important number you need to keep in mind is the number 10. 10 is the number these hot stuffs got when they did their dance routine, and 10 is the number of points you can get on the DBQ this year. So it's a modified rubric, 10 points are on it. The first point is the same as always. You get 1 point for a thesis or a claim. And what this is you respond to the prompt with a historically defensible thesis or claim that establishes a line of reasoning. And so to get this point, you can't just rephrase the prompt, restate the prompt. You got to take a position, and this is really the strength of your essay. What are you going to argue? So it's important you get this point. Next up is contextualization. This is the same as it's always been. This is where you describe a broader historical context relevant to the prompt. And to earn this point, it must relate to the topic of the prompt, to the broader historical events, developments, or processes that occur before, during, or continue after the time frame of the question. So usually we say put your contextualization in the opening paragraph, right below it your thesis statement. The bulk of your points are going to come from the evidence section of the rubric. There are 5 points here, so you want to score some points in this section. And the first one should be a slam dunk. This is using the content of at least 2 documents to address the topic of the prompt. So to get this point, your response must accurately describe, rather than simply quote, the content from at least 2 of the documents. So just show that you know what the documents are all about. You don't even need to connect it to your argument. The next point that you can get in this section is you support an argument in response to the prompt using 2 documents. So for this point, you need to take 2 documents and use the content of the documents to support your argument that you made in your thesis statement. So this is not just describing the documents, but using them as evidence. And this one should be pretty easy to get as well. So you want to be able to knock these couple points out from the get-go. This next one may be a little bit more difficult to get. This is when you support an argument in response to the prompt using at least 4 documents. So you got to use 4 documents. There are only going to be 5 documents on the DBQ. You got to use 4 of them to advance your argument. Quick math check. James K. Polk will point out that that's 3 of the points so far in the evidence section. So where are the other 2? This goes to evidence beyond the document. So you got to go and look for this in that big brain of yours. You got to go and find stuff that's not in the documents, and you can get 1 point if you use at least 1 additional piece of historical evidence beyond that found in the documents that is relevant to an argument about the prompt. So you can't just bring in any kind of random historical fact. It has to be relevant to the argument you're making. You can get another point if you describe a second piece of outside information, once again, beyond that found in the documents, and it needs to be relevant to the prompt. So we got 5 points in the evidence section. The next section of the rubric is the analysis and reasoning section. There are 3 points possible here, and this is where we get our hippo points, where you're hipping documents, or if you have a teacher that uses happy, like this guy's bright and shiny face, that's where you get those points. And so 1 point is awarded for 1 document. You explain how or why the document's point of view, purpose, historical situation, or context and or audience is relevant to an argument. So to get this point, your response must explain how or why the different things, the point of view, the purpose, the historical situation, or audience is relevant to an argument. So you can't just say the point of view is this, you've got to link it back to your argument. And then you can get a second point if you do this same process, the HIP process or the happy process, with a second document. The last part of the rubric is the complexity point. A lot of teachers call this the unicorn point, and this is awarded if you demonstrate a complex understanding of the historical development that is the focus of the prompt using evidence to corroborate, qualify, or modify an argument that addresses the question. And so this is looking at the complexities of history, the nuance, the kind of counter argument, and this can be awarded if you do this consistently throughout the course of your essay. But it's really difficult to get in a normal year, let alone in a goofy year like 2020. Now, this is a very complex process. Most students, most teachers feel beat up when they're done writing or grading these things, so you need to hang in there. And one thing I can't stress enough is knowing your content. You could spend all day looking at this rubric, trying to figure it out, mathematically kind of predict what you will score. But if you don't know the history, you can't have an argument and you can't analyze these sources. So content is king. Historical thinking skills are important, but knowing the stuff is going to be really important. And if Theodore Roosevelt can get shot and give a speech with a bullet in him, you can handle this DBQ. And if you need any help, you can go to APUSHexplained.com, where there's all sorts of free history and government videos. And most importantly, stay focused, stay strong, stay hungry. You got this. Have a beautiful day. Peace.